Hello friends, welcome back. This is Angular Developer Series for our e-commerce application. This is episode 5. In this video, we will be covering the HTTP service and the routing to show the products in detail. We'll be using the real web API to get the data. So this video will be very interesting. Come, let's get started. Alright, let's take a demo. So if you see this, the category was now coming as 3 items: the electronic, clothing and mobile, right? And it's even able to collapse by itself, and these are the real products that's coming from the API. So we're gonna see in detail. If you click on a particular product, you'll see all of these images this was uploaded, even the videos will be able to play, right? So all of these in detail of a particular product. So product page also we built. You see this quantity, category, all of these are dynamic data. And down also, when you click on a particular item, it navigates to that particular product. You click on an image, it expands and show a big one, right? See, all of these are happening, right? So this is all what we are going to build. So if you go to a shop, you'll see all of these products, and this is also dynamic. We're going to reuse the data. We'll be calling the real web API from our e-commerce web API project. And then you'll be building all of these things. So let's get into the coding. The first thing, category, right? So right now these are dummy data. We're not dealing with these vegetables anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this product API, right? Right now the API is running in my local. I will give you the details of where this project is so you can also run it. So basically let's go to this data model. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment all of the existing data. We don't need all of these things. And so instead, for now, I'm going to put 3 categories, which is the real category in the database. I don't have an API yet, but if you guys are interested, you can build it by yourself. And for the product, I just copied the data right now just to get started with. Right, all of these data are coming from the real web API. So for now, I'm just copy pasted it. There's one product description property added, so I'm gonna update the model so that the description of the product is also coming, right? So this is still a dummy data, meaning the real data, but we have hard-coded, right? So this is the hard-coded data that you see right now. Okay, so all of these are hard-coded. So, but when you click on it, it should go to a particular product page. Okay, from there we will show you how to build using the HTTP service. Now, in order to go, what do? We say product slash detail slash, the ID. So ID you will pass as a parameter. So you say comma product dot product ID. So what will happen is when you click on that particular product, like the symbol, right, it puts you to the product page. So that is what we are doing, and this is coming from featured product component. So see, now it loaded to this page. Now the next item is we need to read this parameter, which is number 6, right? We need to read that from the route. So we declare 2 variables, product ID and the product. Product is nothing but the product model. So here what do is first we will inject something called activated route. Okay, so activated route is an inbuilt from Angular that will help us to read the parameters from the route. So we haven't seen this lifecycle hook. That will be in the next video, but for now just imagine we are implementing one of the lifecycle hook called ng onInit. Okay, so onInit is again second lifecycle hook of the cycle, and here what do is we are trying to start using the real-time implementation. So we don't put anything in the constructor, we will put everything in the onload page. Okay, so when the component is loaded, what are we going to do is we're going to use route.snapshot.parammaps.get, and then this product ID is coming from this route. If you put ID, you put ID here, but the current code that we have is product ID. So the name should match in order for you to get the data. So the moment you put this, right, we also say if there is no such thing, then just use 0. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to then convert this ID into a number. So in Angular, in TypeScript, if you put a plus symbol just before a string, it will convert into a number. Okay, all right, so now we have converted a product ID and we got the product ID. The next thing is to HTTP service we will add. So let's create a folder called services. Okay, we're going to add a new service here. So right click on it, new file, product.services.ts. See, this is the format, okay? Anything the name .service.ts will become a service. A-service will bring us a snapshot of the snippet code, and here you just need to say product service. See, this is nothing but a class which is exported. An important thing to know is this is decorated with something called injectable, and then we say provided in root. Provided in root means this is magically provided automatically to the app module at the parent level, which means anyone that try to inject this service will be available for an instance of the service. If you don't put root, you can still use it, but you have to manually do this declaration in the consuming component in the provider section of the component declaration. Okay, so where we have decorated with the @ component, there's something called provider. There also you can do, but it's best to do at the root unless project needs this service to be restricted for a particular component. Okay, but good thing is to go with the root. It's okay, we can just provide at the parent level. Now what we are going to do is let's add some more thing, like robust coding. So we will add an interface called environment configuration. Here we define the base URL, the endpoint, and all of these things here. Okay, so we will define an interface and we'll force this interface to be implemented in our environment file. So where is our environment file? You go to this the main one, environment.ts. Okay, so here we will say this implements the interface. Okay, so when I say this implement this interface, see, this is of type this interface. The moment I say this, it will force me to implement this. See, right now there is no property implemented. You hover on it and say control period, and then you pull up all the automatic properties. See, all of these things came. I just need to fill up the data, so I'm going to copy paste the filled up data. So here if you see, this base URL is nothing but my locally running web API project, which is running on the port 7086. You see this? Let me show you. It's running, this project is running, and this project runs on this port. So when you run the exact project, your port also will be same. If not, just use the port that is running on your local machine. Okay, later we will use the server URL. All right, now we also have that product and API, right? So that's why we updated those. Now coming back to the product service, we will define a variable called API URL, and this API URL, right? This API URL is the one that we will be assigning. So first here what you have to do is we are going to inject something called HTTP client. So we define a variable HTTP, and then it is nothing but HTTP client. You put this has to be imported. Sometimes automatic import comes, sometimes it doesn't come, but it's okay. But basically this comes from angular/common/HTTP. The moment I imported this module, the error went off. Now we will assign this. See, right now our configuration is at the environment.api base URL. So right now it's not coming because it pulled up from a different namespace. So let's delete this and let's add the right one. So hover on it, you see it's giving us a lot of options. So we will use it from here. Okay, the other files is to replace it, so do not get confused. Use environment/environment file. Now we have injected HTTP client. The next important thing is HTTP client module. That's an ng module from Angular that has to be imported at the parent level, which is app module. If you use this, only then HTTP client that you're trying to inject in the dependency injection of the services will be available. If you don't have it, it will say there is no provider for HTTP client. If you see such error, basically you forgot to import HTTP client module. All right, so we have not forgotten, we have just added the right import here, which is good. All right, so let's create a method called getProduct, and it will accept ID as the parameter, and its type is number. And here's something called observable. Okay, we'll talk about that observable. So basically it returns an observable of product module. Okay, and then we are going to build a URL. So constant URL is equal to, you see this, that's called a tick symbol. Okay, it's not single quotes, it's a tick, backtick. Okay, so when you use backtick, you can use $symbol, and then you can dynamically format the content, like you can replace the variable values. So that is what we are doing here. So we are saying API URL / followed by the get product URL. Okay, and then finally we pass the incoming ID. So this will form the final URL, okay, which will be like localhost, the port number slash product slash API slash product slash number. Now we will use HTTP server. So this .http.get return type is product model, and then you just pass in the URL. This is just a get endpoint, so this is more than enough. And then what you will do is you will go to this product detail, and then we will inject this service. Now we have the product ID and we are going to inject the service. So the moment you inject the service, we have already provided this at root, so the dependency injection will work. And here we will create a method which will eventually invoke the product service. Okay, so this product service get product pass the product ID which is in our local variable. So this product ID subscribe. See, because anything that is observable, you need to subscribe to it. So what will happen is when the API is invoked, it will invoke and then it will not wait for the call. Okay, instead it will have a callback function. So what will happen is once the API is ready and got the answer, like the response, this method, it will go inside the next. There is something called next in line number 25. Automatically, once it is having a value, it is guaranteed that it will go and assign that value to the product variable. Okay, if it takes 2 seconds, 4 seconds, doesn't matter. After the API response is received, it will go to this line. And then we also handle the error. Okay, so subscribe is nothing but you're subscribing to a guaranteed response. Okay, and then it will go and execute those lines of code. Now what will happen, you will call this method at line number 24. So once we have the value of the product ID, we invoke it. Let's see what happens. Okay, see, the moment I put product the pipe symbol of JSON, see, I click on it, see, the data is coming, and trust me, this data is coming from the real API. So let's go and show you it's going to the network. Let's clear it off. See, I click on a particular item. You can see the outgoing call is going and it is calling a web API, and then it is receiving the data. Because we already know the data is of what kind, right? We just map it to the product model. Ideally, you need to know what the data is coming back and then create the model according to that. Now, the next thing is we go to product. See, this page, we have to replace this content, right? So all what we do, again, go back to the template, go to that particular item, because we are just mimicking the exact website. So here I'm going to pick up whatever information I needed to show in the product detail page. So in the section, you can actually use it from the breadcrumb. We will see, we will bring up those images later. But for now, I'm going to take only the product detail section. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and paste it, and I'll show you first the data is coming or not. Okay, then we will replace the template content. So let's go to product detail, put it here under this, just copy paste whatever you copied from there. Okay, and let's go here and see what happens. Let's scroll down. Okay, something is coming, right? Alright, the image alone is not coming. That's because the image is in the wrong path. So we will have to just reassign to asset/image. So we figure out where this img is there. No, it's not even correct, right? So let's assign it properly. So I will be searching with double quotes image and then replace like this, right? So that none of the other tags gets replaced. So see, at least some information is coming. The bottom image is not coming, that's absolutely fine. And some related product is coming, so we will refactor it to bring up, we will reuse the product list. So for now, the image is coming. Okay, so now what we will do is we have the product content and we have the template. So we will remove this extra stuff, all of these things, and here we will use product description. See, we are replacing now the template content with the data that is coming from our product API. Okay, so I'm going to replace all of these things. Everything is going to be the product description. So far looks good. Here if you see, right, we don't have anything called weight and all, but instead we have two things called the quantity and the category. Okay, so let's first finish this description stuff. Let's see, description comes good, all good. So now we have to play around with the images and this extra stuff. Alright, so I'm going to replace this piece of code, and basically product.quantity will bring up the quantity, and then in order to get the category, I have a method called getCategoryName. Okay, so I can just copy this. Okay, so the get category name is it's a function, right? So let's put this function, and then it accepts a category ID. So ID will be a number, and then what we are going to do is we are going to take the categories from our existing data model. Okay, so we'll define this. Let's bring in, all right, and then we filter the category incoming category ID and find out its name. That's what the method is going to do. Okay, so let's come all the way through down. So here you see this categories dot filter coming, the incoming is category ID, and we replace this. Once we have the data, we get the category name and return it. So because of that, see, the mobile is coming. So category ID was passed, but description was returned. Okay, so that's how you get all of those data. Now when you click on this, okay, all of these informations are coming, right? Okay, so there's something called product image. So we're going to play around with this product image here. So come here all the way through here, and I'm going to replace a piece of code. This basically, it's a div. It goes through and loops through the images, and then it puts an image, nothing else. I didn't do anything fancy. Line number 13 is, it's a div that is repeated. So it's like we are going to use the ng for, and then we loop through the product images, and then we get the images. See, we got the small images in the down, right? And then we want the first images to be on the main thing. So right now, you see this, it's looping through all the images and showing us, but when you click on it, it has to show that image, right? That is what we are going to do next. So here, in order to do that, we will have two variables called image URL and image type. Basically, it is possible that we can also get a video file. So here what we do, when we assign the product data, we will assign the selected image URL as the first image. Okay, and then we use that variable into the source. So in order to use the source attribute, you put this bracket and then use the selected image. Okay, see, the moment we do this, the first image is automatically retrieved and shown in the big one. Okay, so let's remove this so it looks little beautified. All right, so see, first image is automatically shown. Let's go and click on some other product and see what happens. You see this first image is always shown, but when I click on any of this image, the image has to be replaced. So how do we do that? It's simple, right? We're going to use the event binding. So you go to this image where the clicking is happening. So, and then we assign, like we trigger a event. So again, click is an event, and we call a function and pass the image URL. Okay, so when we start building more and more, we'll be using all the features and the concept of the Angular as we build. So this one we already saw. This is called event binding. We are trying to call a method called image clicked. We pass the image URL. Now let's go to the component and create such function. Here the image URL is a string. Okay, so we can also have a variable called image URL. That's a parameter of type string. It doesn't return anything because we are just going to reassign the selected image URL. So this dot selected image URL is equal to image URL. You can actually literally write this piece of code directly on there also, but it's better to write in the function so it's readable and easily understandable. And then we will also assign a get image type. So we pass this image URL, and we'll figure out whether the the image type is image or video. So for that, I have a function which will accept the URL. It will figure out the extension, like split dot pop. Pop is basically the first one will be removed. Okay, the remaining of the file is called the extension. Now we are trying to see the extension is of MP3 or MP4, then it is a video type. If not, it's an image type. That's what this function is doing. Also, there is another function called isVideo. Basically, it finds out the image type is equal to video, then it returns true. If not, returns false. So based on these concept, what we are going to do is we clicked on it here, right? So the image should be now coming up. Let's see whether the image comes up. Now, one more thing. Here we will say show up this image, right? When you click on image, show that image only if it is image type. So I'm saying ng if it is not a video type, show this image tag. If it is a video type, show a video tag. So video is inbuilt HTML element. We will use that. We will assign the source as the image URL. However, image URL is nothing but the video. So listen to me carefully one more time. When I go to this place where image and video is there. You click on image is coming, right? But the last one is video. When you click on video, instead of showing the image, we will show the video element. That's why you're able to see the video playing up here. Okay, but you see the last one doesn't look good. It has no thumbnail, but we are not going to do any fancy work to create thumbnail and all. Instead, we will just put alter tag to get some data. If you want to enrich this, you can add a thumbnail automatically for such video thing, but it's going to take some time, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so and then I have a class called cursor. At the styles.cs, you just put cursor as pointer, which means when you hover on it, it will come like a hand symbol. So let's take a look. See, now it's coming as like clickable thing, right? It gives you a feeling that it's gonna click, you're gonna click and something is gonna happen. Okay, so now we are able to load the image, we're able to load the videos, and all of these things is also coming, right? So the product detail page is done. Now let's create a component called product list. Product list, we are going to call an API to retrieve the real products, and then we'll reuse this component in many places. Okay, so the product list component is created. What's next? So let's go to this component. So let's create one more endpoint here. Get products. Here it's array of product model. Okay, so this .http.get, it's again a get, but it's going to return an array of product model, and you can see the URL is formed in this way, right? So it's a URL, question mark, page number, all of this. Let's take a look. So if you go to this API, okay, this is the API that we are going to call, execute. You see this, what is the URL? Basically it's sending 3 query parameters: page number, page size, short by. Basically when we have the pagination, we will be able to use these concepts, but for now we are going to use the first page. We're going to say fetch me 10 items, and then the fetch count is the one which is dynamically passed. Okay, so the URL will be formed. All of these things will magically work. Later when we are close to finishing, we will add this pagination, or I'll give you a task to add the pagination, but I will guide you. Okay, so we have an other endpoint also. So now let's go to this product list. I'm going to copy paste this. This is exactly how you did in the product detail. We inject the service, we call the get products endpoint, we subscribe to it. After the data is coming, we assign the data to the products variable. Products variable is nothing but the product model of array of product model. Okay, here what we are going to do is, I'm going to this feature section and copy this snippet of code which is already there, right? This is what it is there. I'm going to copy this, replace it here, and then remove this unnecessary stuff here. Very interesting, right? We just copied the existing code, and then luckily we also have the variables listed properly, which is products, and then you use this component here. What will happen? The component would have fetched all the products, but it's just showing in an incorrect way, right? Because there's a piece of code missing here. So let's go to this product list, and basically we are missing a class called row. So we just cut this whole thing, we put it inside a div class row. Okay, so inside row only columns can come. We are missing this piece of code, that's why it didn't come. So now we just formatted it. Let's go back and see how it looks. Let's scroll down. See, it retrieved all the product information and it started showing those products whichever is coming from the database, right? And this is what the endpoint we used. So now this looks good. See, when you click on now from this list, the numbers are changing, but the data are not changing, right? That's interesting, right? Because you're on the page, route is getting changed, but the data is not changing. That is absolutely wrong. So what's going on? Let's understand. This is an interesting concept. Okay, when the route changes, what you're supposed to do. So let's go to this product details and see what we are going to do. If you closely monitor here, this ng on init is invoked only one time when the component is initiated. So we got the initial product ID, we invoke the product, but this is just only one time, right? We are still on the component. In the component, you're clicking some of the child component which is changing the route, but this ng on init is never executed again when the item changed. So in order to solve this, there is something called subscription. You need to subscribe to the route.param maps. You need to subscribe to the route itself. Okay, so we are saying route.parammap.subscribe. Whenever that is changing, you call me. you'd let me know. That's what it is doing. So here in line number 31, when this changes, now we will try to get the new ID that is in the route. So params.get product ID, exactly same whatever we did in line number 26. Now we are trying to get it after we get notification that the item is changed. Once you have this new item changed, we assign it to the product ID and we invoke this get product again. In order, when we do this, when you land on the first time, it loads the data at the same time, right? See, this all works. And then at the same time, when you click on different route, see the route changed, the data also got changed, because now every time you click on this, the endpoint is triggered, new data is retrieved. So you're still on the page, everything looks good. Let me minimize and show you. See, if I click on it, you see the data is getting changed in the top, right? That's how you will subscribe to the route as well. Okay, so now you have learned good routing, how HTTP service works, how we were able to do all of these things, right? Great. Now let's click on the shop and it goes to shop grid, which means let's go jump back to our template, click on the shop grid and copy the middle content, the content that is required for us to put it in our shop. Okay. First, we will always make sure this looks exactly same as template, and then we play around with however we want, right? We customize according to what we want. So I'm going to copy these sections, whatever I'm showing you, right? All of these hero section and the breadcrumb section, and going to the shop details. So let's go to the product shop. Okay, so right now I just replace this and let's see what happens. Okay, so something is coming, right? So if I go to shop, some banner is not coming, but some layout is coming. Okay, so for now I'm going to remove the banner. In the upcoming videos I'll show you how to link the banner with the right image. Okay, so let's clean up this. We don't need any of this banner. We directly need the main section, right? The left and the right section. See this department and the sales of this. Says department is still incorrect. So let's create a new component called category. Okay, and then we will place that category inside the product. So we use this ng generate component product / category. So product under the product folder, like the module, category is created. So basically what I'm going to do is, this is a simple component that will go through the categories from the data model that we have, and then it will put in the unordered list, the UI element. Okay, that's it. So now you can use this app category component in our shop. Not only shop, in upcoming pages, it's easy to replace it here, so that we don't need to repeat this, right? So the component is placed here, automatically on this page, all these items came. Great, that looks good. And all of these things are not good. So we're gonna, change all of this, the content. So if I scroll down, I'm gonna leave all the left side one. All of these things that you see, it's all in the left side. Okay, as in we progress, if needed we will change it, or according to your need you change it in your website. Okay, now we will concentrate on important things here. The product list that we have, right, that is what we are going to use it. So here whatever the dummy data was there, we replaced with the real product list that's retrieving the data from the HTTP service. Okay, so now come down, I'm going to remove all of these things also. So two places I'm going to reuse this app product list. Okay, see, this is the beauty of this Angular, right? You can reuse this component. You brought up all of this data, not only here on the details page as well as on the shop page, right? Data are dynamic, and if you click on it, it will go to this page. You click on it, it's going to read out to the different content. See, it's as and when we build, we are building a real data, real application, as we build in the real organization, right? So that's the standard that we will follow. So we were able to do all of these things. Now everything looks good. Product details is there, routing is there, image you are able to load, video load, everything looks good. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the episode 5. We will end up now. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, like it, comment and share with your friends. And in the upcoming episodes we will see much interesting stuff. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more tech tutorials. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Happy coding!